I don't know about you all, but I am very excited for today's event. If you're feeling excited, drop a thumbs up or a smiley face in the chat box. So hi, my name is Janelle. I attend Bishop Anstey High School East. I'm in Form 3D. I love cooking and baking, and I'm just very ecstatic to be here today because today we would be having an open discussion about the top 3 issues which have arisen because of COVID. So 𝗏𝗏 and I would be moderating today's event, and I would like to give a special thank you to the Heroes Foundation for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So without further ado, I would now love to pass you over to 𝗏𝗏.
Thank you, Janelle, for the warm and pleasant welcome. It is my pleasure to be hosting with you today. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are happy to have all of you join us today. And we hope you feel comfortable, safe, and engage with us when necessary. My name is 𝗏𝗏, and I am a student at Woodbrook Secondary School. I will be going into Form 4 this September. I'm in love with dogs, love the color periwinkle, and I like to scroll on TikTok for fun. Here today to help us unpack, we have a panel of distinguished guests from various fields, and they are going to help us understand and cope with the emotions we may be feeling amidst the pandemic. First off, we have Mr. Bertrand Moses, a psychotherapist. And then we have Mr. Moses Kisu, a research assistant at the Institute of Gender and Development Studies. And last, but certainly not least, we have Ms. Crispa Ali, a clinical psychologist with the Children's Authority. We have all been experiencing some sort of mental exhaustion during this pandemic. Even I myself find times where I'm constantly facing mental exhaustion. What about you, Janelle? Have you been experiencing the same thing?
Yes, definitely. Mental health has been a major issue globally, especially in this pandemic. Personally, I tend to feel mentally drained sometimes because I get a lot of screen time each day from online schooling. However, I'm still able to cope with online learning. So, Ms. Krista, is online fatigue a real thing, and what causes you to feel drained as soon as you look at your schedule?
Hi guys, so happy to be here. Online fatigue is definitely a real thing. But before we jump into that, 𝗏𝗏, I have a burning question. What color is periwinkle? Like, give me an idea of like what is it close to? I just want to know like what color is that?
Sure, no problem. Periwinkle is a shade of purple, but I just don't like saying these purple. I just feel like when you say purple, it's just such a basic too. So when I say periwinkle, you add a bit of a spice to it.
I hear you, and I like that because one of my favorite colors is purple. So I guess I'm one of the basics. All right, guys. So yeah, we're jumping into it, and here we are on another online platform yet again on a Sunday afternoon, and then we're back to work in the morning, and you all are back to school. Wait, you all are back. You all have no school tomorrow. Do you? No, so you're getting a little break, but you all have been at it for months, right? And in general, in the pandemic, you all have been at it for nearly a year. So there's been ongoing research and stuff about, what we're calling online fatigue or Zoom fatigue, right? To be honest, I had never heard about Zoom before this pandemic. I had no idea what that was, but why do we feel so tired from doing it? I myself, I feel extremely, as you all said, mentally drained, right? And that, of course, has an effect on your body as well. But why does that happen? What the research is saying is that we're trying to mimic face-to-face conversations and interpersonal relationships on this platform, but even though we're seeing each other's faces and we're hearing each other's voices, there's a lot of stuff that's different about it, and it's really not the same as an in-person conversation. The brain actually needs to work much harder to read verbal cues and things like that, so therefore it's just a little bit more taxing, right? Your brain is required to do a lot more work actually, when we're on this type of platform, to receive information, thinking about how am I looking, how are people perceiving me on this platform. Things like that is what is causing us to feel a lot more tired whenever we flip on these screens. Yeah, so any other questions on that topic? Or any other information that y'all wanted to know?
Thank you, Ms. Krista. That was very insightful. Now, Mr. Bertrand, Mr. Markham, do you all have anything to add to that? Marcus, sorry.
Well, I think I would like to just agree with what Krista said. But before I begin, Janelle and Kyla, thank you for having us here. And thank you to the Heroes organization. Of course, Janelle, when I heard you say talk about purple as well, sorry, Kyla, purple is also my favorite color, but I'm basic, you know. So thanks for giving me a new way to introduce that. And Janelle, I wanted to say, when you spoke about bake as your favorite coconut, bake you said, right, Janelle? My mouth's out of water because that's my favorite thing to eat. I don't eat much of it, but I love bacon cheese. What? So you had me hungry there in the hero session. So thank you so much for having us. I just want to add, based on what Krista is saying, I don't want to take up too much time, but see, I agree so much. And that's the thing that we have to remember. We have been schooled since preschool, since you were 3 years old, since you were just wee, you know, small, you know, to just really be in a classroom setting and interact in classrooms. And then boom, out of nowhere, you have to interact virtually. And then you're typing, you're taking notes, right, Janelle? You're looking at your teacher, you're distracted, you see a Facebook message come in, ping, and you're like, wait, boy, I wonder what they say there. And then you're not able to have that engagement in person. So it's different. And so it's more activities for your brain to do. And then it's also something that's different and new to learn. So everyone should feel okay readjusting and feel stressed. That's all right, because it's a new reality that will just take some time to get accustomed to.
I think those are two excellent points. I'm glad to hear people saying that, you know, this is normal. This is expected. Young people are not, you know, going crazy. You know, it's nice to see that, you know, that other people are saying that, hey, this is just a new adaptation of what we're living in. So it's just really awesome to hear other people say that. So yeah, I think I support thus far.
Okay, I think that was very informative and I love the discussion. I love how it's going so far. So okay, Mr. Bertrand, how can we manage feeling tired all the time?
Man, that is rough. I mean, when you feel tired, you just want to go sleep. You just want to turn off the computer and say, I close down this laptop. Forget miss, forget sir. I see you all shaking your head, Kyla, and Julie, like, yeah, I just want to do that. But we can't do that because our education is so important. So to make things easy for everyone to remember, I just want to leave an acronym called BASE, B-A-S-E. What can you do when you feel tired and overwhelmed? BASE, B-A-S-E. So you could write it down if you're listening and you really need that new vibe. B stands for breaks. Take breaks in between. It's so important to work for a certain period of time and then take a break for a certain period of time. So for children, I would recommend that, say, you work for a period of 50 minutes. You know, if you're on Zoom and you can't leave because the classroom session is going on, while you're in the session, just close your eyes. And just for, say, about 15 seconds, and then open it. What the research is showing us is that because our eyes are being strained by the computer as well, that is also making us feel even more tired. So if you could just take a break, close your eyes while you're listening and paying attention. And if Miss say, Miss Lady, open your eye. Tell her, no. Psychotherapist Sir Moses said I could close my eyes for a little period. So break, take a little break. If you can, if you're studying at home, just close your eyes. You could take a break for 15 minutes if you're not on Zoom. And then you can just, you know, get back to work and then take another break. You know, you could mix it up 15 and then you could take 5 minutes and do what works for you because every age is different. So B in BASE will be take a break in between sessions. The next thing is to ask questions. The A in BASE says ask questions. When you're in a virtual session, engage it. Ask the teacher questions, make comments, just get involved, ask, you know, things, just make sure you're talking. because the research, what a lot of children are saying is that the more involved they are in an activity, the more they feel alive. It's not a boring thing, you know? So if they feel like they could ask and talk with the teacher, then it keeps them awake. And that's the A. The S now in base, I would have asked you, what do you think it stands for, Janine? What do you think the S stands for? Put you on the spot, my girl. What do you think the S stands for? Janine, what do you think the S stands for in base? Or
Sleep.
Kyla? Sleep? Janine on fire. That is correct. Sleep. We need sleep. That's what's happening. We are working up and using so much energy now, having to type, look up at the screen, take notes, answer questions, and sometimes there's a lag. Like Mrs. talking, and you see her mouth, and then she starts back talking, and that in itself makes you feel tired. So you need to be well rested, making sure you have 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You know, I know it's difficult because your sleeping habits may be a bit off now, but make sure you have as much as sleep as possible. And the E in base, the last letter, stands for eventually. Remember, Kyla, Janelle, and all the young people and the children of our beautiful nation, big up all yourself. Remember that eventually this is going to change. And just doing that helps us to feel a little better, to know it's not going to last forever. There's going to be a time where we'll have some semblance of normalcy back. And keeping hope alive is a big part of surviving the Zoom fatigue and the stresses. Just knowing that, you know what, this is going to go on, but it's eventually going to change. Trust me, it's going to change soon. So B, take breaks. A, ask questions in class. S, make sure you're well rested, sleep. And E, eventually is going to get better. And hope is all we have. So base is what I would suggest in terms of how you could manage feeling tired all the time. Back over to you, Janelle.
Thank you, Mr. Bertrand. That was really informative. It really, I think it would really help a lot of us students who have to, you know, go to class and assignments and all these stuff. So really helpful. Thank you. I'll now pass you over to Kyla.
Hi, good afternoon. So just continuing with the topic of tiredness. Do you, the panel, think we can stop? Do you, the panel, think we can stop tiredness from affecting our daily activities? And if so, how can we do that?
So I'll go quickly, just because, you know, it's not my expertise. I'll leave it up to the psychologist, but I'll tell you from someone who has been working with young people who use a lot of energy to do this kind of work, I will tell you that tiredness is not necessarily a bad thing, like what Krista was saying earlier about all emotions. They remind us about certain things. Tiredness is hints. And if we are mindful about our tiredness and what it means, we could listen to our bodies, we could listen to our minds, we could connect, and we could sort of adapt and cultivate this kind of self-care. You know, tiredness reminds us that we need to stop from doing something, or that something is really bothering us. And, you know, we feel tiredness in multiple places. You know, with Zoom, we feel it in our eyes, we feel it in our backs. You know, so I've known people who say, well, you know, I don't eat when I have school, you know, just because I have to sit there and monitor. So tiredness and all of these other emotions are so vital because it reminds us of when we have to stop, how to listen to our bodies, how to listen to ourselves, how to listen to the processes about online schooling, and then to find ways of adapting. And I think tiredness does that for people and young people.
Yeah, guys, I definitely think that Marcus is touching on some really important points. Tiredness is hinting to us that something is off, right? Whether it's that we're not getting enough sleep or we're not getting enough nutrition, right? So be mindful of that. Pay attention to what time of the day that you feel tired, and, you know, you could kind of work through it in that way. Once you start monitoring your body, that's super important. I know from listening to other kids, I know that sometimes you all have a break in between classes. That little break that you're getting in between your online classes is super duper important. That is the time that you focus on regaining yourself, right? Focusing on a little bit of self-care. Completely power down whatever device you're on, step away completely so that your eyes can focus on something else for a little while other than looking at a screen. Get something to eat. That is super important, right? Being properly hydrated as well. So make sure that you have something to drink as well. Get up, stretch your legs, kind of, do something different with your mind, focus on something else, listen to a little bit of music. But that little break in between your classes is really important to get yourself back together. Another thing is that I know that with the whole physical distancing thing, and I don't like to say social distancing because, we really don't need to be socially distancing. It's not about breaking connections with people. It's about being physically apart so that we're keeping the virus at bay and helping it to not spread. But I know that sometimes we're scheduling time for, talking to friends and stuff online. We want to be mindful that we're not doing that right after our online classes, because what you want to do is minimize your screen time. Research is also showing that if you just do a telephone call with your friends or your family, that's going to be a little bit better for your mental health and everything at the end of the day, because it's reducing the screen time. And it takes, remember earlier when I was talking about the amount of work that your brain has to do to process the information coming from the online platform. A telephone conversation is going to be a little bit less straining on your brain. So try that as some of the different tools that you can implement for feeling less tired in the daytime. Back over to the host.
Thank you for that little reminder. I think it's always kind of important to remember that when you're tired, it's normal. It's okay to be tired. And while I understand that it is okay to be tired, most times we can't always be tired every second of every day. So we have to have some sort of motivation while we may have an idea as to what motivation is. To you, Mr. Marcus, what is motivation and how does it work?
Well, motivation is a situation, it's an action, it is things that pushes us forward, right? There are two types of motivation. There's intrinsic, meaning that it comes from inside, your own logic, your own rationale, and there's extrinsic, which is from external. And I think it's so important that we see this all around. You're familiar with Popcorn song, New Money? Yeah? When you talk about new money and what it's for, he says that what ghetto youth wanna new money, man want new money. And there was an interview with Popcorn, and he said that the purpose of that song was to remind himself that he could get out of adversity, of poverty, of things that kept him back. Yes, money may have been the motivation, but there are other things out there that motivate us, that external, extrinsic motivation. It could be wanting to succeed. It could just be knowledge. It could just be wanting to know something new, right? In this case, we have to be motivated to stay in for health, for the health of ourselves, for the health of the people around us, for health of the, older people and people with existing illnesses that we could help. We have to be motivated. I'm motivated to ensure we have a healthy Trinidad and Tobago, right? We stay home from school so our friends could be safe. That's the motivation, right? And we continue to become educated online because we want to do things with our lives. We want information. We want to succeed. We want to advance. So there are multiple ways we see this motivation, right? So yes, Popcorn was onto something when he said that he wanted money, but it was money to get out of adversity. It was money to get out of poverty, and we have to see our end goal and what we want out of it, especially in this pandemic, especially about being locked down, right? And find those motivations in all within and as well around us.
Okay, right. That was really good. I think I was able to understand everything, and you went through it piece by piece, so it was very good. Now, Miss Krista, is it okay to have low periods of motivation?
So yeah, the simple answer is yes. low motivation is just part of being human, just like with everything else. Being motivated requires us to engage in goal-oriented behavior, meaning that there's something that we want to achieve at the end of all of this effort and energy that we're putting out. In this pandemic, it's sometimes pretty difficult to find a reason to stay motivated. Am I right? Yeah. So yeah, having low motivation is okay. It's all right. The whole point in it though is working through that. And how do we do that though? Right? Now I'm talking about goal-oriented behavior. So of course I think the biggest part of doing that is reminding ourselves, what is the goal that I'm trying to achieve here? Why am I in school? Why am I working so hard? Right? And that can be, as Marcus was saying, different reasons, right? My parents want me to do well. My mom wants me to become a doctor. But what do I want for myself? What we need to do here is figure out, what personally do I want to achieve by doing all of this stuff? By staying indoors and keeping safe. All the adults are telling me I can't go outside, right? But it's really about making it personal, about what do I want to achieve and what do I want to gain from this. Writing down your goals, writing down what you want to achieve is going to be very important, right? Making a vision board of what I want to, who I want to be, or what my life is going to be like in 5 years or 10 years from now. That's going to be really important as well, because you all have a really critical age where you're choosing your subjects. I know one of you said that you're going into Form 4, so you're choosing your subjects, and then from there you're going to be choosing, what am I going to study at A-levels and then in university. So writing down your goals is going to be really important for directing your goal-oriented behavior. Back over to you guys.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Krista. Mr. Bertrand, is it okay sometimes to wonder what is the point of school when people are dying?
That's an excellent question, Janelle. It is okay. And I think the one thing we want to put out there, I know Krista and Marcus really want to put this out there, is that whatever you feel right now is valid. It is important. It is real. And it's okay to sit in that feeling and just ask yourself, wait, boy, like, I can't take this on. I feel afraid. I feel like if I go outside, I might get COVID. Sit with those thoughts and speak about it. Don't keep it inside. So it's okay to feel that kind of fearfulness and to feel like, where's the point of going to school when so many things are going bad? Because guess what? Where I work at the Office of the Prime Minister, we did a research study with children across the nation. And out of our study, we recognized that 78% of children said that they felt more worried or sad during COVID-19. And we used the U-Report to do that, and children were able to answer from their home using phones and their computers. And we said, wow, this means that it is okay to feel that way because the majority feels that way. So what I want to put forward to you all is, I want to ask you a question, Janelle and Kyla, both of you, all right? So it's not a hard question. But Janelle, let me ask you, when the beach opens, where's the first thing you want to do when you go to the beach, Janelle? What's the first thing you want to do?
Go in the water.
Yeah, no, right? And what about you, Kyla? What's the first thing you want to do when the beach reopens? You can unmute your mic, Kyla, if you can. What's the first thing you want to do?
For me, I run in straight in the water because I already know. You see how the place hot now? When those beaches open up, ooh, the nice, cold, clean water.
I love it. I love it. And I want to put this forward. I am a Tobago boy. I grew up in Tobago, so I love the beach, right? And so for me, honestly, the thing I'm looking forward to do is to go out on the reef. I grew up scuba diving and things. So the reef is my inspiration. So what I want to say to you, another little acronym so you can remember what to do when you feel that kind of like, oh gosh, I'm fed up and where's the point of school? The first thing I want you all to do is to visualize the beach. I want to invite everybody who's listening, every child, everybody, even Marcus and Krista, the big adults in the room, big up for yourself. I want everybody to just close their eyes right now, right? Close their eyes, even the listeners on Facebook and wherever you are, and just imagine the beach and just sit with the calm of the water, sit with the calm and the peace of the ocean, feel the breeze from the sea, Feel your toes in the sand and just sit there, hear the birds, sit with that. And not come back, you know? And I want to say, open your eyes now. I see, wait, everybody eyes still closed, right? So we're enjoying it. And the thing is, when those negative thoughts come in your mind about what is the point of going to school, take a moment, acknowledge the feeling, and then go to a calm place. That's like mindfulness. It's like meditation. It's about being calm. Go to your favorite place and just be there for a moment when you feel like, what is this sense of fighting up? So for me, I go to the beach. That's my favorite place to just kind of sit with the difficult thoughts of what is the sense of doing all of this. And so the first place I would want to go to is to go scuba diving on the reef. So my acronym is REEF, R-E-E-F, the reef. So let's go to the reef. And this is what I want you all to do when you feel like, oh man, I don't know where this sense of pushing forward. The R says get involved in some recreation. And recreation is different from just fun or play, because recreation means to do something that invigorates your body and your mind. So it could be your favorite television show, or recreation could be playing with your brother or your sister or your family member. It could be writing something that you always wanted to write. It could be recording yourself on WhatsApp with a song. I send it to your auntie and say, yo, I'm the new Beyonce. Or it could be like, yo, I was the next big man singer thing, you know, I the next, you know. Well, thanks to Marcus, Popcorn, you know. I don't know if you support Popcorn lyrics, but I mean, the next Popcorn could be listening to this, you know, give me a little, or let me help manage you when you get big now, right? So you want to just make sure that you do something. Recreation means to do something that's fun. It makes you get moving, get active, you feel involved, and it takes your mind off of the things that stressed you. It could be a new project you want to do. If you always wanted to, you know, build a little toy car, something new, a project, a coloring book, anything that you like to do, recreation, once you're active. The E in REEF stands for eat. Make sure that you're eating foods that are healthy, because what's happening is that you are using up more mind energy. The way how the brain works is that it's actually using some sort of sugar, right, in your brain to make sure that it functions and it thinks well, right? That's the simplest way I can see it without going too technical. Because I know, Krista, we study psych and we're like, Lord, you know? So it's like a sugar that your brain is using in order to keep functioning and to think and to work. And so you need to eat well, you need to take breaks, but you also want to make sure that you're eating foods that would allow for the release of dopamine. Dopamine is a hormone that gives you energy and vitality to fight the Zoom boredom, you know? So you want to make sure that you're eating foods that are healthy, foods with protein, you know, wherever, if it's plant-based or animal-based, if you're a vegan, vegetarian, or whatever, just make sure you have a lot of protein. So E is eat well. The next E would be exercise. You have to get moving. And it's difficult now because we can't run outside, we can't play outdoors as much as we like to, but do something in your front yard, you know? Another thing that's helpful, you need to exercise at least 30 minutes a day. That's the World Health Organization guidelines. In fact, they say an hour every day. And that helps keep you healthy. So exercise, move about, you know, play a game, hopscotch, hula hoop, wherever, you know, we're popping now for young people. You know, run about the yard, run down your brother or your sister and harass him and say, you see, you have to run you down for no reason, right? Do something to just get yourself active. Another thing you can do is if you're in a class meeting, you can get up and you could walk with the device in your hand, walk back and forth during the class meeting. That keeps energy. And that's for my boys, my kings in the room with the queens, the brethrens. Make sure you keep active, because the research shows that boys tend to learn better when they're moving about and active. So the E would stand, the second E would really talk about exercise. And the last one, the F, in terms of how you can, just when you feel like people are dying and things are rough, the F is for friends. Turn to your friends and talk to them about how you feel. So you have this group support. Let them know, I feel frustrated, I feel tired, I feel worried. Talk to your friends about it. You can also, you know, make a support group with WhatsApp and talk to them and that kind of thing. You know, and just having friends who are going through the same thing sometimes helps, right, Kyla and Janelle? Because I know you all could talk to your friends, you could nod your head, yes. If you're talking to your friends, say, real fed up boy, where's the point? Yes, yeah, I see them nodding their heads. So that's something you could do. So I would say go to the reef. You can go to my favorite one, all right, in Tobago, Pigeon Point, and just R, recreation, E, eat well, E, exercise, and F, you know, check in with your brethren and your sisters, you know, your crew. And say, yo, you feeling that too? Yeah, boy, things rough, boy. Where's the point, boy? You know what I mean? So those are some of the things that I know science and research says are very helpful to help you to make it through these challenging times. Over.
Thank you, Mr. Butron. That's the whole read thing. That's definitely gonna help somebody, and I know it's gonna help me for sure. Cause you know. So moving on, Mr. Butron. Okay, so we're still on the same topic as friends. So hypothetically, we're gonna get a bit hypothetical here. So hypothetically, I have some friends who have been doing online school for a whole year now, and we dried out, low on motivation. How do you suggest I motivate both myself and my friends?
I like that, Kyla. You're dropping big word on me. Hypothetically, I said, wait, but we should come in with there, you know? So I like that. Honestly, that's a challenge. I know a lot of, we saw the reports in the news. You know, we have thousands of children who are out of the school system for multiple reasons. And some of them are just frustrated and fed up, and some of them just aren't going to class. They feel no motivation, right? So how could you motivate yourself and your friends? I would say find out one person that you really care for, that you're ride or die. Kyla, you know who your girl is in the school. And Janelle, you know who your sister is. I don't follow your boyfriend and take. I was putting it out there, but I don't want to expose all in the Zoom. I like how you're like, no, I don't know. But, you know, turn to that person and just say, look, we are going to survive this. So the first thing I would say you should do is sit down with your friend and say, what is one goal you want to achieve for this month or for this school term? And then just every week, just check in and hold yourself accountable for it. If it's to do better in math, if it's to do better in reading, if it's some problem you want to get better at, if it's to do your homework more on time, whatever this goal is that's related to Zoom and on being online in school, sit it, write that down, and with you and your friend, you choose one, even if you're highly motivated, and your friend choose one, and just help each other achieve that goal. And when you achieve that goal, reward yourselves. I don't know if you could, you know, make doubles home, because I hear Marcus is a big doubles man. Marcus could make a double for you. That's why I hear Krista told me that before the Zoom meeting. I'm joking. But nonetheless, you know, do something like that to some reward, because dopamine works like that. Like dopamine is the chemical in your brain that when you do something and a goal is achieved, boom, it sends off a spike like a firework in your mind. And it's like, I feel good. I made something happen. So you want to make sure you do that. Yeah. And the last thing I would say is develop a team. As a child, have a team. I'm going to drop another acronym, TEAM. And I'll tell you where you can find this acronym. Come down to the end. It's a surprise. But team, I would say for you and your friend, the first thing is to make sure that you have a trusted adult in your life that you can talk to, who could help you just feel motivated. And if you feel stressed out, you could talk to about it. The E, I would say, if you feel like the motivation and the stress of being online in school is getting harder, E would be explore a professional. And by a professional, I mean someone in mental health. So you can talk to your school guidance counselor. That's available. I know there are numbers online. You could reach out to your school teacher or principal for that. Or you could go to Childline. Childline's number is 131. And you can talk to someone 24/7 if you feel no motivation. They're there all the time, all day long, and they could read a a bedtime story or Bible story to you, or they could just sit down and just talk with you and give you tips on what you can do. So explore a professional. In the A, I would say ask a family member about what you're going through and how they could help, and say, this is what I'm experiencing. And family is there for you. So reach out to them and they could help you. And even if you know the friend's family member, you could say, I just want to know how I could help my friend to get by. And the last thing I would say is you can look for a mentor as well. Mentorship is something that we often underestimate. A mentor is someone who is in your life who is good at something and you admire it and you want to ask them for help and they will commit to helping you. It could be someone who is a little older than you. It could be someone who is much older than you and they could give you tips. So I would say the team approach for you and your friend, one, make sure that you set down one goal and you say, boom, we had to accomplish this goal by the end of the month. We had to fight. We had to make this happen. This Zoom ain't gonna kill me, yo. All right? And then you can do a team approach, which is T, a trusted adult that you can talk to. It could be a teacher or principal. E, explore professionals. It could be a psychologist. It could be a school social worker, a guidance counselor. It could be a psychologist. It could be someone from Childline. You could call 131 for that. And then, of course, you have E, right? And you can ask a family member for help on both sides. And then you have M, you can look for a mentor to help you all, both of you all, or three of you all go through this challenging time. So over to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So now that we kind of figure out ways that we could motivate ourselves and our friends, how can we recognize when we are low on motivation? This one is for all of the panelists. If you have anything to add, feel free to add.
So when we're low on motivation, that's kind of like when we kind of don't see a point in doing anything, right? Because we're saying that with motivation, there's a goal that we want to achieve and our behavior is directed towards achieving that goal. So when we're low on motivation, we don't want to come out of bed in the morning. We probably don't want to wake up and sign into a Zoom class. We're not really focusing on class, like Mrs. talking, and it's just like, oh my God, when is she going to stop? Right? We see no point in doing our homework. We getting really snappy with our family members. Things like that really tell us that something is going on. And like we keep saying, guys, this type of behavior and this type of feelings is perfectly natural. And, we all experience it at some point. The whole point of it is working through that and remembering why we're doing all of this in the first place. And I know during this pandemic, it's different. Everything is changing. Online school, who even thought that we were ever going to be doing that, and what we always want to remember is that we need to manage our expectations in this pandemic. Online learning is not for everybody, and this is just something that I really want to put out there, not just for you all, but everybody who's listening, especially parents as well, because parents need to understand this. We need to manage our expectations of what we want to get from you all, what we expect from you all. Online platform learning is not for everybody. Some people need that in class, that experience where they could go to Miss and say, hey, I'm not really getting this, right? And Miss can kind of explain it to you. So managing what you expect out of yourself is very important during this time. And remembering that is completely okay. Right? I feel like we're always on a deadline. I need to finish this by this time, and by this age, I need to be that and this. But we have to remember that every journey is unique and equally important, right? I have 3 younger siblings, and I told all of them, if you don't succeed at exams this year, next year is another time. Like, it's fine. It's fine. We can redo it next year. Because I have one of them who is she just finished standard 2, one of them doing upper 6 CAPE exams and one of them doing CXE. So it's a pretty stressful time in my house right now, and I know exactly what you all are going through. Yeah, now online schooling works for some, but it's not working for everybody. So what can we do? We explore some other courses. Janelle, I know you said that you like baking. That's definitely something I like to do with the kids as well, teaching them different cooking styles and techniques and exploring different cuisines and things like that. For the ones who really appreciate the online learning, all the better to them. And just remember, time it's not running away. As Bertrand was saying, this is eventually going to end, and we're going to come back to some level of normalcy, hopefully in the near future. But during this time, we need to remember, don't expect too much. Like, don't put too much pressure on yourself, and just kind of do what we're all doing, right? And I'm not ashamed to say this as an adult. We're kind of just going with the flow right now. Right? It's super important for you guys to maintain a relationship with the adults in your life. I know that that's sometimes difficult, right? We sometimes don't feel like, we want to have a relationship with our parents. They don't understand us and things like that. But having a trusted adult is really important in times like these, because we need to have somebody to turn to when things might be going a little bit off, right? Dealing with stress is difficult. Some of us might be able to cope, but some of us might not be able to cope too well, right? So having somebody that we can turn to, whether it's a parent, whether it's another family member, a teacher, we need to have somebody to be able to turn to if you or your friend is having a really, really difficult time, right? Not just you, your friends as well, right? Because sometimes they might know who to reach out to. So having that network is going to be really important, and having an adult that we can turn to when things are getting a little bit too difficult, that's really, really important. Back over to you guys.
Thank you, Ms. Krista. That was really helpful. It was a great reminder. Okay, so Miss Krista, Mr. Marcus, and Mr. Bertrand, is pushing through low motivation a good habit?
I would say that it could be good and it could be bad. Yeah. I'll be honest with that. This is a question of the questions we've asked before. This one could be good and it could be bad. It could be dangerous. If you feel like you're experiencing very low motivation, I think the first thing that you should ask yourself is, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel low motivation? And just sit with that thought. And you can talk to an adult about it, because sometimes there are different factors that are happening. Sometimes someone may feel low motivation because their parent lost their job. We know a lot of people are losing jobs at this time in our country. It could be low motivation because we can't get access to food right now. So our diet is a bit off. So you can always talk to your parent or reach out to your guidance counselor in your school, or reach out to your churches. I know some churches and places of worship have been given some grants that could help people. Reach out to social services. So in terms of that, sometimes you have to just slow down and sit with the discomfort of feeling like, hey boy, things rough. So once you're able to identify what it is, ask yourself the question. And then when you ask yourself that question, I would encourage you to talk to an adult about it if you can, and they could help you find the hope in the situation. If you cannot find an adult and you feel, that it's not something too big, then yes, you could push through. Push through if you feel like, okay, this is manageable. It's just that I feel tired with Zoom, and I feel tired with school, and I miss my friends. Those things are difficult, but you could push through that, yeah? And just tell yourself, you know what? I deserve this for me. I want to do this for myself. I want to make myself proud. I want to make my family proud. And I have goals I want to achieve, and find ways to motivate yourself. But I just wanted you all to know, for if anyone is listening now and there are other challenges happening in your life and in your family's life, it's okay if you feel like, I want to just slow down a bit. But just let some adults know, teachers know, so they could understand, because it's a hard time in so many ways. But I just wanted to encourage you all to take the time to treat with what is bothering you, identify that first, what's making you feel that way, and then you can take steps from there.
So I just kind of wanted to jump off on where Bertrand is talking, and just add a little bit more to that, right? What we want to do is identify the difference between feeling low motivation and feeling hopelessness, right? What the research is showing, and I work with young people all the time as well, so I know from talking to them that there's a lot of feelings of depression that's also going around during this pandemic, and it's affecting our young people, right? So having low motivation, maybe, one day out of the week, yeah, that's fine, but you're still getting up and you're doing what needs to get done. But when that becomes basically your everyday, where you're not feeling to do anything every day, then that becomes a bigger problem, where, you might be experiencing symptoms of depression, but you don't even know it. So feeling hopeless about life, I remember earlier on you were asking the question, what's the point in doing all of this when people are dying, right? If that is what your main focus is on, and it's really easy to kind of slip into feeling hopeless right now, and those feelings of hopelessness where you've almost given up, and nothing really seems worth it anymore. You're not getting any joy. No dopamine is happening, right? Nothing is firing up that dopamine, right? Then something is really off at that point. And that's when we need to reach out to that trusted adult, whomever it is, to get some intervention, to get some assistance, because we want to be mindful that our mental health is really important, and it's being heavily affected in the pandemic by all of this stuff that you guys are talking about, all of the different reasons that you all are seeing and that we're discussing here today. So we always want to remember, low motivation, yeah, we can push through that. That's a good thing. But when it starts slipping into feelings of hopelessness, starting whenever, and if anybody is starting to think about hurting themselves, cutting themselves, if you're starting to think about death and things like that, that's when we need to reach out and get some help. And what we also need to be mindful of is that there are kids who were experiencing those things before the pandemic, right? And if we have a friend who we know is going through something like that, they're the ones that we need to keep a little special eye out on. Like, we just need to be checking in with them a little bit more often to make sure that they're doing okay. And, you know, letting them know where we can go to get some help if need be. So that's just something to be mindful of as well, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Krista. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bertrand. That was really, helpful. And, I sometimes tend to, push back, say, well, it's okay. Sometimes, it's just a little minor thing you're dealing with. Say you didn't submit an assignment on time or something like that. And you just, say, oh gosh, I wonder if I'll still get my marks. So it's kind of hard to, but I understand. And thank you. So, when you're home, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, no one to see. You kind of feel like you're in a cage, right? So, Miss Krista, why do we feel caged at home?
Well, it's really because our entire world and our entire perspective has suddenly shifted. The whole life that we've grown up knowing, spending most of our days outside at school and then doing other things on the weekend, going to the mall, going to the beach, everything has suddenly shifted. Another big thing is that we're not accustomed to seeing our parents this much. We're not accustomed to seeing our family this much. So that annoying brother you might have, you only was probably seeing him in the evening before. Now you're seeing him whole day, every day, and it's annoying, right? So we're feeling caged because our opportunities to move around has been taken from us, basically, right? I know that as kids, we're not going out as much as, we're not really all outside all the time. Even as adults, we don't get as much free time to go out and do everything that we want, but we always had the option to do so, right? The beaches were always open. KFC was always open. We probably wasn't eating KFC every day, but you had the option of going to KFC every day. Suddenly that has been taken from us. And things like that being taken from us is what is leading to us feeling so caged, right? I mean, the virus is out there, and that too is making us feel caged at home, because we know that, we're putting out all this information out there that if we step outside, something bad might happen, right? And depending on how much information you're exposed to, that might mean different things to you. You might know all about the pandemic. Some people might just know that there's a virus out there that we're really trying not to catch. So we need to stay indoors. But being inside and having our movements restricted is leading to us feeling caged. And I just want to let you all know that it's not you all alone. We're all feeling it, right? So what we need to do is figure out ways to work within that, right? And I think, let's hear the next question.
So now that we have kind of an understanding on why we feel caged and confined, feeling caged and confined is obviously something, well, in our own home, is obviously something that we want to avoid. But in this season, it's kind of hard to escape that whole feeling. So, Miss Krista, what should we do when we start to feel caged and confined? What are your tips and tricks for us when it comes to that, when that feeling kind of arises?
I think feeling caged is really a mindset. I was saying just now that it's really about having our options taken from us. So it's about thinking about, what options do I still have? Can I go into my yard? Yeah, you can. Can I walk up and down in my yard? Can I run up these stairs over and over and over and just, get some exercise? Yes, I can. So it's about, what options do I still have, and focusing on those, and what do I still have any sort of control over, right? Because in a time when everything seems very much out of control, finding the little things that we can control is going to be really important. So what I will say is that maintaining some sort of routine that you all had before is very important. I ensure that my siblings, and I tell all my clients and all the young people, make sure that you get up, you take a shower, you eat some breakfast before your online classes, right? Because that was something that you were doing before. And now you have the option of sleeping in a little bit longer, right? Because you don't actually have to get up and go out to school, right? But making sure that we have some level of routine is very important. Don't be going to class in your pajamas. Get up and put some clothes on, right? Make yourself feel like, you know, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it right. I put on perfume when I'm just at home, you know, because that's just something that I was doing when I was going outside, right? The little things that we can control is what we need to keep doing to remind ourselves that, hey, this is my life and I can do it how I want to, right? Remembering to go outside and get some fresh air is really important. And don't be like a vampire. When you see some light, you're like, oh my God, you know, I've seen that with kids. You know, it kind of happens to me too, because sometimes you ain't going outside for days at a time, right? But just go into the yard, get some fresh air, run around the place, run up and down. You know, what we want to do is not make excuses, right? A lot of things have been taken from us, but let's not make excuses to engage in negative behaviors. We don't want to sit inside and be watching TV all day, every day. That's just not healthy, right? So it's about focusing on the little things that we can do. Find a new hobby, maybe something that, you know, is outside. Get a little plant and, you know, see, like, watch it grow and things like that. So it's about trying new things as well. We have a little bit more time on our hands that we can try new things because we're not doing as much stuff outside. Yeah, so you can let me know if that's helpful or if you want to know some more stuff. I'm sure the rest of the panel can also jump in here and assist.
If anyone has anything else that they want to add, feel free.
So you have to excuse me. I think the internet on my end is really horrible because it keeps breaking up. But I also just wanted to add one more thing to the prior conversation around pushing through tiredness. I also want young people to understand that you don't have to push through pain. There's a huge difference between tiredness and just feeling out of it. But there's no way that young people should push through pain. If someone is hurting you, if you are feeling uncomfortable in your own space, you know, I think pain is something that you definitely need to adapt this whole team method, especially around finding a trusted adult and a mentor. I think pain is something that young people think that they have to toughen up and go through, right? And really and truly it isn't. I think pain is another way of us understanding we are uncomfortable, we are hurting, and we should let others know, at least those who care about us. So pain is something that we shouldn't be pushing through in the kind of way that we push through tiredness and push through low motivation. So be very careful because, you know, young people don't have the same opportunities as all of us, right? There's a lot of inequalities that exist, and the way that we are going to fight this, the way we end children's pain and the way we end inequalities is by sharing, right? Because not everyone may be able to view this, and not everyone may have access to devices to be in a classroom. So, so we have to be mindful of all of those things. So when even reaching out to others, we have to understand where are they. So they may not have a device, your friend might have a device, but it doesn't mean that you can't ask your mom to print some of the homework and drop it in their mailbox so that they still feel connected to the everyday world, just like how we feel disconnected, even in our privilege with still having devices, etc. So I think it's also mindful for young people to understand that there are others out there with different layers of privilege, different layers of inequalities, and doing this, this conversation allows for us to think about all our brethren and sisters in the kinds of ways that we know that not everyone has the same access. I just really want to put that out there. Yeah. Back to you, host.
Do you have anything to add? Mr. Bertrand, is there anything that you would like to add to the previous question?
Completely agree with him. Completely excellent points.
Okay, thank you. So this is the final question, and this one goes to Mr. Bertrand. So I understand that sometimes we cannot escape the feeling like our home is our own prison. So how can I change my mindset from seeing my home from a prison to seeing it as a safe haven?
That's an excellent question, because that's how we're going to survive this challenging time. We can't control the circumstances, but we can control our perspective. So I want to just go around the room, and a surprise question for everyone in here. I want to ask you, what is one thing that you can either have in your home or one thing that you can do in your home that would make you feel more peaceful at home and safe? I will start so we could all hear different suggestions. And if you have access to a chat box, tell us what you can do in the chat box, or just write something somewhere, or take a paper out and write it down. For me, the one thing I started to do is cooking more creative dishes. I ain't no big chef, but I was opening up YouTube and I tried things I've never tried before. House almost going down, but I was trying something there. And I think what I did is I felt accomplished. I felt like, wow, I'm creating a home. And I felt like if just that brought some joy, and that made things feel really different and felt good. So that's something that I try. So you can either do a new activity to make you feel more at home and happy and enjoy that space, or you can have something physical in your home that's new that could help. I want to throw it out to Kyla. What do you think you could do to answer that question? What can you do to make your home feel, safe and to feel good? What would you do, or what would you have?
To me, to make my home feel more safe, or more not like a prison, I will probably sleep more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll definitely want to learn how to make our doubles, because sometimes you wake up and you're not feeling for something simple, you're just feeling for some doubles, but then you remember you can't go outside, you're gonna have to improvise. Yeah. So for me, sleeping longer and being able to make doubles.
I love it. What about you, Marcus? What about you? What's your one thing? A thing or a new activity at home makes you feel at home?
Well, for one, for us adulting here, which we're doing a lot of working from home, and I had to turn a piece of my house as my office. Like, it had to be, like, that had to be my go-to space to do work, because for me, as young working people, your home could automatically turn into your office, and you don't want that. Your home is supposed to be, your place where you go to rest and relax, and to be around family, and to enjoy another part of life. And I had to find that balance between, this is my desk to do work, and this is my couch to sit down and watch TV, and find that difference. This is my bed to sleep and watch Netflix. You know what I mean? It is no longer the classroom or the gym. The gym is the yard. That's the one place I go to work. So I had to find that balance between work and the everyday other lives that is now happening in this one little building, in this one little house. You know what I mean? And I think that's important for young people to also understand, find that balance. Yeah.
I love that. I would have asked everybody, but I know we're limited on time. But everyone, put in the chat box what you think. But I just want to say that that question is all about you as an individual. That we see a variety of different experiences shared here. So for you, you just have to sit down and make a list. I encourage you. One thing that you can do at home. Identify 3 things even. Type it in the chat box. Send a message to us of things that you can do. And that would be things that would make you feel that calm at home. The second thing I'd encourage you all to do, please go onto the Office of the Prime Minister's website. It's opm-gca.gov.tt. And when you go there, click on Child on the drop-down menu on top, and then click on the Child Zone. When you click on the Child Zone, we created an online library with a lot of resources, workbooks, videos, games, a whole bunch of things for social media that you can use. And one of the things that we created is a mental health workbook. And this mental health workbook is there. You can Google mental health workbook Trinidad, Office of the Prime Minister, and it will come up in Google. Or you could Google mental health workbook Trinidad, and it will come up because we've tried it. And you can download that workbook. It's called, it's an amazing workbook that helps you to just work on your mental health and wellness and your peace. So it gives you some tips. It has a push-up challenge for the brethren, for the boys. I didn't forget to say we put that in there. We have things like drawing, things that you could imagine or visualize. We have questions you could ask. We have agencies you could reach out to if you want to if you don't feel safe at home because you feel like there's child abuse, or you feel like if somebody's bothering you, You can reach out to numbers, contact numbers, student support services. The number is there, Childline, Children's Authority, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health numbers as well. It also has some cool other surprise games that you can do in terms of word puzzles and all sorts of stuff. So I want to encourage you all to do that. And if you do that workbook, it's very short, very child-friendly. It would help you to make sure that you feel safe at home, you feel comfortable at home, and you're able to express your challenges. So opm-gca.gov.tt, click on the top, child, and the drop-down menu, click on Child Zone, and then click on mental health, or just Google mental health workbook, child Trinidad, and they will take you to the workbook. And if you need, you can reach out to Lawrence or anybody at Heroes, and they can send it to you, because I'll send it to them, because you all are awesome. Over to you, Janelle. Okay.
So we're very, very grateful for all those key points you all shared with us. But now I would like to hand you over to Mr. Marcus for an exciting activity he planned just for you, the viewers, to engage. So don't worry, it's a safe space, and be sure to participate.
Yes, thank you, Safe, Brave. So, Bertram, I thank you for bringing all of these acronyms, TEAM, REEF, BASIC. I'm actually borrowing that kind of methodology. And I just want to allow for all of us to kind of go into it a little deeper. And I want to do something called PASTA. So add that to your list of ways of engaging young people, right? So what this is really an emotional check-in. And I really want everyone to kind of help me go along. But it's for us to allow young people to kind of stop for a moment and really appreciate what is happening in their lives. So the acronym is PASTA. So the P stands for pause and take a breath. You know, I think that's quite important in really grounding ourselves. The A is ask yourselves, how do you feel? Right? And I'm going to walk us through some scenarios. And I want each of us to kind of give us some little pieces of how you feel for those scenarios, you know, using the PASTA acronym, right? The S is say the emotion words out loud or write them on paper, right? So for the benefit of this activity, we might just say it out loud, right? The T is think about your feelings, sit with them, and let them be. You know, it's important for us to really just, you know, acknowledge these feelings, really think about them, and even help us to kind of, is that the right language? Is that the right feeling? Is that feeling, I'm saying that feeling because I've heard other people say it, or really I'm feeling something else, right? And that's the point of thinking and sitting with your feelings, right? And the last one is ask yourselves what you need. Say or list what could help you move forward, because the point of this is for young people to push through the little tiredness, to push through the little you know, lack of motivation. And it is also an important time for us to stop and think, is this pain? Is this a long-term discomfort that I am going, and I may need to seek help from an adult or a caregiver, right? So let me give you the first scenario, and I would love for our host to kind of help us. So the first one, when you hear about COVID-19 on the news, right, we will stop, we will take a break because we don't want to react, we want to respond. We will ask ourselves, how do you feel? When you hear COVID on the news, how do you feel, Kyla and Janelle?
For me, when I hear COVID on the news, I personally don't really watch it all that often, but when I do watch it, I kind of feel like there's no hope. There's just this small piece of me that kind of feels like there's no more hope, and the world gonna be like this for a long, long, long time. So that's kind of how I feel.
Great. So you've said that emotion out loud, that sense of hopelessness to a degree, right? That sense of, you know, what next, right? That's quite important. Janelle, how do you feel when you hear about COVID, whether in the news or adults talking about it?
To be honest, I feel frustrated.
Excellent. Excellent. So when you say those feelings, you stop for a moment, you document it, you write it down, you think, right? And then now you have to ask yourself, the last A in, well, the only A in, the second A in PASTA, ask yourself, what do you need to go forward? What do you need as a young person to push through that frustration, to push through that sense of hope? What could help you, especially tools that Bertram gave us, right? Mr. Moses gave us some excellent tools. What could you use here to push forward? Maybe something from team, something from basic. What would you use, Kyla, Kyla, or Janelle?
Usually, sometimes I say this every day, well, not every day, but like when I'm feeling frustrated or whatever, I say I'm smart, I'm strong, I'm beautiful. And then I tend to take a breath in and out, and I feel so much better.
Awesome affirmation. Like, that's so important, self-motivation, reminding ourselves. That's so awesome. Kyla, what would you do to push yourself forward?
For me, when I'm frustrated, I probably have the least healthy habit, which is going on TikTok, when I feel frustrated.
Awesome. So remember, that A is about asking yourselves, what do I need? So you need a break. You're saying that you need a break from the news. You need a break from social media. Well, you need a different kind of social media, more relaxed, more TikTok fun versus, the news that could be very scary, right? One more scenario just for what, and this was so relevant, right? When it's test or exam time comes around, right? Let's go, using pasta, right? Firstly, we have to stop and breathe, right? Because you don't want to react, you want to respond. You have to ask yourselves, how do you feel around test and exam times, especially in a virtual classroom, a virtual world right now? How do you feel? Kyla and Janelle?
Sometimes nervous, sometimes anxious, depending on the subject, because sometimes subjects are really heavy and then they're the light ones. So depending on the subject, it would determine my emotion.
Awesome. Janelle? I'm Kyla.
I agree with what Janelle said. It's kind of based on the subject. If I know that that I'm strong in that area, well then that's a breeze. But if I struggle with that subject, it's a bit more challenging.
Excellent. So you've asked yourself how you feel. You have said it out loud. You're even thinking it through, right? You're sitting and you're thinking and you're working through your feelings. You're finding new ways of understanding how does the situation make you feel. And now, again, we have to ask ourselves, what do you need? What is it that you have to have or that will contribute to you moving forward in these emotional feelings of an exam or a test? What would help you, Kyla or Janelle? What would help?
For me, what would help me kind of overcome the feelings of an exam? Either just read a book or just put the books down, put the school books down for a whole second and kind of just take a minute to regroup.
Absolutely. I love that. Just stepping away from it for a little while and coming back at it. Awesome. Janelle, what would you do? What do you normally do, during your exam emotional time?
I do something similar to Kyla, I step outside, I go outside, take some fresh air or something, just to come out the house a little bit.
Absolutely. I think this is really excellent. I just want to do this last one, right? I think, this is so vital to us young people, as social beings, to everyone, right? When you are home in online school and you can't meet your friends, right? Let's stop. Let's breathe about that let's breathe and think about that for a minute, and let's come back to it now. How does that make us feel when we can't socialize in person with our friends, with the people who we care about, with the people who we have relationships with?
For me, most times it doesn't really affect me because I like to call people. I like to bother people and call them. So there's about 2 people that I call every single day. Most times they don't really answer, but I kind of call them because they are who I'm kind of close with. So they kind of bring me back to this world, even though sometimes there's challenging times where you kind of want to see them in person, kind of socialize, but then we get on the phone and then all of that just kind of goes away.
Excellent. Janelle, what about you? Firstly, what's the feeling that you get when you can't socialize with your peers and your friends?
Sometimes a little, let me see how to put this. Sometimes I tend to feel, well, kind of melancholy or, but to be honest, like it don't really bother me as much because similar to Kyla, I like to bother people. So I would literally, if we ain't call in 2 days, I will call you, see how you're going. So we have that interaction there. So it's not bad, you know. I still feel kind of like I could still talk to somebody. So yeah.
Yeah. And I also want us to just remember that, you know, there are other young people out there who don't have that ability to call someone, and they're genuinely trapped in a cage, right? So, like, they are trapped in a cage where they don't have, you know, phone or internet or even, you know, siblings, their parents are so busy working that they can't even interact with them. So just be, you know, just supposed to be mindful about all of those other ways in which people experience this pandemic, right? And then we sit and we think about those feelings, you know, we understand it, and then we ask ourselves, when we can't be with our friends, what can we do, right? We need to ask ourselves, what do we need, right? And you all have given excellent suggestions, right, about making phone calls, etc. But I want to ask my colleagues on the panel, right, when people can't socialize with their friends, or when they have multiple ways of feeling uncomfortable with exams, or when they hear, when they hear this constant anxious way of talking about COVID on the news or with their family, what are some of the things that you recommend that they can do moving forward as ways of just, you know, managing that while being in the lockdown?
You know, Marcus, excellent question. And I would say the first thing to do is just turn off the news. Stop looking at it. That has been one of the most proven, most effective methods that people have been talking about globally, because it's a lot. Turn off the news, leave some of the conferences alone, you know, just forget some of it and just avoid it and just get the main updates that you need to. That's one of the first steps. And the second thing is just start to develop new hobbies and new things to fill that time that's empty. Just start to do some new things, occupy your mind, just grow. And those are two of the things that I would just put forward as the best ways to treat with it. And if you're a child and you want to reach out, as I mentioned before, you can dial 131 Childline, and they can just talk with you and give you additional help and resources, where to go, Children's Authority, or if you should go to Student Support Services, they will guide you and just there to help you. And it's toll-free, and it's very calming and a positive experience. Krista.
Yeah, so I completely agree with that. Information overload is really going to be, you know, that's one of the main things that's affecting our mental health right now. Reading about COVID-19 on your Facebook feed and then hearing it on the news, it's in the newspaper, literally it's everywhere. At some point, we really need to cut off and focus on something else. COVID is not going anywhere. It's going to be here tomorrow, as far as we know. So the news is going to be there. Let's just take a break and focus on something else, because this can't be our whole entire life. Right? We still have school to focus on. We still have birthdays coming up. You know, we have things to look forward to. We can't do it, and we can't celebrate in the way that we might have done in the past. But now we have to think of really creative ways to do things at home. So I know that the young people are looking forward to graduations and things like that. So get together with your friends, maybe do an online little ceremony. See like different things that you can do, talk to your parents and see what can be done. I did a little graduation party for my sister at home because, you know, she just finished secondary school and she wasn't able to do anything. So I had to try to make it as fun as possible within the confines of the pandemic. So, you know, you all are talking about different things that we can do. We love cooking together. We like trying out new things. So focusing on other things and remembering that COVID-19 is not the end all and be all right now is really helpful. Talking about it in spaces like these is really helpful as well. Bertrand mentioned the Trans Authority hotline. They can be accessed at 996, and we have a lot of information on our website as well, ttchildren.org, and we have a really active Facebook page as well, so you could just log on there and see what upcoming stuff we have going on as well for the young people, just tips and information to help keep you all safe, because we know that, you know, not everybody's in the same situation right now. We really wish best health and strength and safety to everybody out there, but we know that the circumstances for everybody is different. So while we're enjoying stuff, let's just be mindful of that. Let's be mindful that, you know, other things might be going on with other people, and we need to keep reaching out to them to make sure that everybody is okay. Yeah.
So Kyla and Janelle, that is me, and that is my pasta dish. It is an emotional check-in. I think as young people, you know, it's important that we learn this, you know, how the surroundings around us affects our emotional, our thinking, and our responses. And it's important for young people to stop and just breathe and just really learn themselves as they go through this pandemic. So that's me. Thank you so much for having me.
Cornelia, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you so much. You know, the information given was really enlightening, and I think it would help a lot of people going through this mental stress and all these stuff. And yeah.
I'll just like to give a warm and special thank you to all the panelists, all the viewers, and the Heroes Foundation for making all of this possible. Now, do you think we should give the viewers, the Heroes socials? Because I'm not too sure if you should give it to them.
Of course, I follow them on all social media platforms, and they have a lot of information. So, of course, give it to them.
Okay, because my host said to give it to you, I'll give it to you. You can follow Heroes on Instagram at Heroes Foundation TT. Once again, the Instagram is Heroes Foundation TT, and you can check us out on Facebook at The Heroes Foundation. Once again, The Heroes Foundation. Once again, I want to thank everyone who came out, showed out, and I hope that each of you all took away something very important, because there was a lot of information spilled here today. So I just hope that everyone could take away at least one key point and kind of apply that to their lives moving forward in this COVID-19 period. And without further ado, I pass you back over to Mr. Lawrence Aju.
I mean, I really want to say thank you to Kyla and Janelle for leading this session. I mean, you all were fantastic. You all were phenomenal. The chats have been really lit. A lot of the discussions that were happening in the chats and the questions and the kind of concerns were captured in the discussion. So really, to our guests, thank you so very much for sharing your insights and your expertise. Thank you all very much. Look out for more things to come from the Heroes Foundation. Stay safe, stay well, take care of yourself, take those breaks, and we look forward to having you all again soon. So you all take care and thank you.